Very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the biggest news stories from India and across the globe and of course all the news from Davos. Let us start with the headlines. Prime Minister Modi to set agenda for World Economic Forum in Davos with his inaugural speech today. First Indian Prime Minister to speak in Davos in 20 years. Prime Minister meets a Swiss president. In address to the global CEO says India means business. International Monetary Fund reaffirms Indian economy as the fastest growing economy in the world for the next 2 years. Estimates economic growth by 7.4% in 2018. 7.8% growth projection for 2019. Full dress rehearsal for Republic Day parade to be held at Rajpath today. 14 states and 9 central ministries participating this year. ASEAN flag to fly over parade ground for the first time. Tight security and traffic diversions for rehearsal. US government back to work after 3-day shutdown. Republicans and Democrats vote to approve temporary funding bill to allow government to spend till February 8. Deal reached after Democrats get assurances on protecting young immigrants from deportation. And Rohan Bopanna and his Hungarian partner to play in mixed doubles pre-quarterfinals at the Australian Open today. In a big upset, a 6-time champion Novak Djokovic crashes out after being beaten by South Korean star Chung Hyun. First up, all the news from Davos in Switzerland. Prime Minister Narendra Modi set the agenda for the 3-day World Economic Forum in Davos with his inaugural address today. He will deliver the opening plenary address at the forum. Now, after reaching Davos on Monday, the Prime Minister met the Swiss President Alain Berset. The two leaders discussed bilateral ties. While Prime Minister Modi said that he reviewed the scope of bilateral cooperation and discussed ways to deepen it even further. The Swiss president said that the discussions marked the meeting of the biggest and the oldest democracies in the world. And the Ministry of External Affairs described the meeting as productive. According to PTI reports, sources say that the two leaders are also believed to have discussed the progress on automatic exchange of tax information. The Prime Minister also hosted a round-table dinner for 60 top CEOs, including 40 from global companies. The Prime Minister narrated India's growth story and told the top CEOs that India means business and presents exciting opportunity for the global businesses. And veteran financial journalist Pranjal Sharma is reporting for Rajya Sabha television from Davos. He tells us more about Prime Minister Modi's first day at the World Economic Forum. Prime Minister Modi, remember, is the first Indian Prime Minister at the forum in 20 years. He's also leading the largest ever contingent comprising over 130 participants, including 6 union ministers.
The opening reception of the World Economic Forum's annual summit at Davos in 2018 was hosted by India. The Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion ensured that all the delegates had a fantastic time enjoying some of the best cuisines that India has to offer. The same evening, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has hosted a dinner for some of the biggest foreign investors that are visiting Davos. He is taking the message of all the changes that have been taken by his government in the last 3 or 4 years, especially on tax reforms as well as on bankruptcy law. the big message that he brings is that the country is changing. There is a new India which is emerging, and big investors have to make sure that they have to be present in India, not just to make the most of the opportunities, but also to make sure that they are part of the globalized world that India is encouraging. Reporting for Rajya Sabha TV, this is Pranjal Sharma from Davos. Over the next few days, you'll be getting updates from me about the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi at this global conference, and also about how India is being featured amongst global investors.
All right, let's get you some other news. Now, the International Monetary Fund on Monday reaffirmed that India's economy is projected to grow by 7.4% in 2018 and poised to regain the rank of the world's fastest growing large economy. The fund's World Economic Outlook update released in Davos gave a rosier estimate for the current year than the Indian government. It estimated that the gross domestic product will grow at 6.7% in 2017-18 compared to the 6.5% figure given by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now, saying that it expected a pickup in India. The update stood by all the projections it made last October. It projected a growth of 7.8% in 2019. Now, China, which is a 2017 growth champion with a growth rate of 6.8%, is however expected to slow down to 6.6% this year and 6.4% next year. The IMF estimates for India are slightly better than the World Bank's estimate of 7.3% for the next fiscal year, which was made earlier this month.
Global growth has been accelerating since 2016, and all signs point to a continuous strengthening of that growth this year in 2018 and next year in 2019. So this is very welcome news. We need robust international cooperation if we are going to tackle shared problems. And that includes fighting corruption, improving the international trading system, tackling tax evasion, addressing climate change issues, and on and on.
And the World Economic Forum released its yearly index of economies a day ahead of the meet that began in Davos in Switzerland. Now, as per the index, India is among the 10 emerging economies with an advancing trend. However, in the overall score, India has been ranked as 62nd among emerging economies on Inclusive Development Index of the WEF. Now, the ranking is below China's 26th position and even below Pakistan's 47th place. This year's ranking is 2 notches lower than last year's, where India ranked 60th among 79 developing economies. The 2018 index measures progress of 103 economies on 3 individual pillars: growth and development, inclusion, and intergeneration equity. Norway remains the world's most inclusive advanced economy, while Lithuania again tops the list of emerging economies. On to the other top story of the day. The U.S. government partial shutdown has ended after Republicans and Democrats voted to approve a temporary funding bill. The House and the Senate voted on Monday to end the government shutdown, extending the funding for the next 3 weeks. Now, this followed a deal being reached between Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell regarding assurances related to immigration. The House passed the continuing resolution 266 to 159 votes after the Senate passed the measure earlier 81 to 18. The bill now goes to the White House for President Donald Trump's signature. Now, the continuing resolution funds the government until 8th of February in the hope that Congress can reach a longer-term budget agreement in the meantime. The votes now comes 3 days after the government officially shut down on Friday at midnight. Now, thousands of federal employees who had been placed on temporary unpaid leave breathed a sigh of relief. Now, the elected leaders will return to hashing out a deal on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals or DACA program, which protects nearly 8 lakh so-called dreamers brought to the United States as children from deportation.
Soon, federal operations will be getting back to normal for the American people. We all know what comes next, challenging negotiations on a host of serious issues. The weeks ahead will require the best from all of us. I hope we can remember some lessons from this regrettable incident.
I know there's great relief that this episode is coming to an end. This shutdown did not need to happen. But this is not a moment to pat ourselves on the back, not even close. We very much need to heed the lessons of what just happened here. We need to move forward in good faith, yes, on DACA and immigration, yes, on funding our military so that it gets the resources that our military so badly needs. Let's address these urgent challenges.
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
The prolific British poet and story writer Joseph Rudyard Kipling, one of the first masters of short stories in English. In 1894 appeared his Jungle Book, which became a children's classic all over the world. Kim, the story of Kimball O'Hara and his adventures in the Himalayas, is perhaps his most felicitous work published. Set in and concerned with India he had come to know and love so well. In 1907, Kipling became the first English language writer to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature.
This is Kibutu in Arunachal Pradesh, East Point East on the map of India. Kibutu is dangerously close to the Chinese pressure point. We see first-hand and unseen areas of sand dunes and see how BSF is guarding this difficult territory along the Indo-Pak borderline. We are now slowly entering into the interior-most parts of the Sir Creek area. Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force justifies each word of this saying. Watch super exclusive episodes of National Security series only on Rajya Sabha television.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritan Rai and you're watching Law of the Land.
Voting will be violative of the basic concept of voting.
We use a high technology everywhere except in voting.
Person who is living abroad, he can appoint anybody as his proxy.
Watch Law of the Land on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back after the break. Now, the two-day ASEAN-India Business Summit kicked off in the national capital on Monday. Now, the countries pledged to create a liberal, facilitative and competitive investment regime in the region to foster economic growth. Meanwhile, Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu highlighted India's trade deficit with the ASEAN nations and sought better market access for its products and services with the 10-nation bloc. An ASEAN-India Business and Investment Meet. Biggest ASEAN-focused event that India has ever organized commenced on Monday in New Delhi. Trade and commerce ministers of the 10-nation bloc are attending the meet. Speaking on the occasion, Commerce and Industry Minister Suresh Prabhu said that India-ASEAN trade and investment relations have been growing steadily, with ASEAN being India's fourth largest trading partner. Prabhu, however, sought removal of barriers to foreign investment in order to stimulate new investment flows between India and ASEAN. He also underlined the importance of building physical connectivity with the ASEAN region to further strengthen the economic ties.
We must continue to make endeavors to initiate appropriate steps for the review of ITGA as it would address the problems faced on ground by businessmen and investors on both sides and would further deepen our economic cooperation.
Meanwhile, Minister of State for External Affairs General V.K. Singh said that India's Look East policy puts the ASEAN region at the centre of its engagement.
Partnership has been to our mutual benefit, and together we have contributed to regional growth and stability. At this juncture, when we celebrate completion of 25 years of our cooperation, we look forward to continue working with ASEAN in regional and international fora.
The annual trade between India and ASEAN stood at $71.69 billion in 2016-17 against the total trade of $660.6 billion, which constitutes a significant 10.85% of India's overall trade. While the total exports in 2016-17 stood at $31.07 billion, imports stood at a figure of $40.63 billion. Hence, the trade balance with ASEAN countries is adverse to the tune of $9.56 billion. India has the maximum trade with Indonesia amongst all ASEAN member states and also suffers its biggest trade deficit with it in the ASEAN region. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV. News from the national capital. The full dress rehearsal for the Republic Day parade will be held today at Rajpath in the national capital. 14 states and 9 central ministries will participate in the Republic Day parade this year. The tableau will showcase varied themes starting from the country's rich cultural heritage, flora and fauna and socio-economic development to the progress of the nation. Operation Clean Money, Khelo India and ASEAN India are some of the themes of the tableau this year. For the first time, the ASEAN flag will fly in the sky over Rajpath this Republic Day as the 10 leaders of the grouping will attend the glittering function, which will showcase India's military might. In an unprecedented event, leaders of all the 10 ASEAN member countries will be the chief guests at the ceremonial parade at Rajpath on 26th of January this year.
कृषि प्रणाली एक ऐसी प्रणाली है जिसके सहारे किसान अपनी आमदनी को दुगनी कर सकता है। यही नहीं, मौसम के बदलते मिजाज और मौसम की मार से बचने का भी कृषि प्रणाली जो ये है, ये बहुत सहायक है। इसमें खेती के साथ बागवानी, पशुपालन, मछली पालन सभी का समावेश किया जाता है। और अगर सही पूछा जाए तो किसानों को अपनी आमदनी दुगनी करने का और खाद्य सुरक्षा के लिए, पोषण के लिए ये एक बहुत बड़ा सहारा है। और सबसे हर्ष की बात है कि इस बार भारतीय कृषि अनुसंधान परिषद पहली बार इस आरडी परेड में शामिल हो रहा है।
मुझे बताते हुए बहुत ही गर्व हो रहा है कि 10 एशियान देशों के प्रमुखों की उपस्थिति में इस बार 26 जनवरी की प्रजासत्ताक दिन की राष्ट्रीय परेड में गुजरात राज्य की ओर से एक ऐतिहासिक विषय को लेकर हम प्रस्तुत हुए हैं। इस बार गुजरात की झांकी जो हम प्रस्तुत करने जा रहे हैं, इसका विषय है साबरमती आश्रम की शताब्दी और गांधी जी।
And former Gujarat Chief Minister Anandiben Patel will be sworn in as the Governor of Madhya Pradesh today. Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court, Justice Hemant Gupta, will administer the oath of office to Patel at a function in Raj Bhavan today. Patel succeeded Narendra Modi as the Chief Minister of Gujarat after he became the Prime Minister, but she resigned in the wake of the Patidar agitation last year. And Om Prakash Rawat will take charge as the 22nd Chief of India's Election Commission today. Rawat succeeds A.K. Jyoti, who retired on Monday. Now, Rawat will have a tenure of almost a year till his retirement in December 2018. He will oversee elections in Tripura, Meghalaya and Nagaland that are scheduled next month, and also crucial states like Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh will also go to polls under his watch. Now, a 1977 batch IS officer from the Madhya Pradesh cadre, Rawat had taken charge as Election Commissioner of India in August 2015. Meanwhile, a day ahead of taking charge, Rawat said that he supports the government's decision of linking Aadhaar with the voter identity cards. In an interview given to a newspaper, Rawat said that he supports linking Aadhaar to voters' identity cards as it would establish the identity before a voter enters the booth and accesses an electronic voting machine. However, he also added that he does not want any change in the EVM to integrate the feature. And two cases on the alleged suspicious death of a CBI judge, B.H. Loya, have been transferred from the Bombay High Court to the Supreme Court. The petitions demand an independent probe into the death of Justice Loya. They will now be heard with the two PILs pending in the Apex Court on the same issue on 2nd of February. A three-judge bench of Chief Justice of India, Deepak Mishra, and Justices A.M. Khanwilkar and D.Y. Chandrachud also restrained all high courts from entertaining any petitions on the matter. Now, describing it as serious, the Supreme Court asked for all documents related to the case and said it will look into it in a fair way. Remember, at the time of his death on 1st of December 2014, Justice Loya was hearing a case of the alleged fake encounter killing of gangster Sohrabuddin Sheikh. It is noteworthy that the Justice Loya case was one of the many contentious issues that were brought up in the 13th of January press conference by the four justices. They alleged the CJI was assigning cases to the benches of his personal preference.
By transferring all the petitions from High Court, the Supreme Court again sent a message that this politically sensitive case has been taken with utmost seriousness by the Supreme Court. Whatever with the verdict of the Supreme Court in this case, but one thing is very much clear, that this case will be treated as a milestone in the future criminal cases. In Delhi, with cameraman Raj Thakur, Ravin Singh Shoran for Rajya Sabha TV.
And more news from the courts. And 20 MLAs of the Aam Aadmi Party on Monday withdrew their plea from the Delhi High Court for a stay on the Election Commission's recommendation seeking their disqualification. The counsel for the AAP MLA said that since President had accepted the Election Commission recommendation and had issued a notification disqualifying them, the plea had become infructuous. Instead, the council will file an appeal after examining the presidential order. The hearing on the matter comes a day after President Ram Nath Kovind approved the disqualification of the legislators for holding offices of profit. The Aam Aadmi Party had moved the Delhi High Court soon after the news broke out about the Election Commission's recommendation. The MLAs have been found guilty of holding offices of profit.
पहले दिन से ही कह रहा हूं कि ये बहुत ही अन्यायपूर्ण फैसला है और लोकतांत्रिक संस्थाओं का, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं का किस प्रकार से दुरुपयोग किया जा रहा है मोदी जी की सरकार में, ये उसका जीता जागता उदाहरण है। 23 जून को यही चुनाव आयोग खुद पत्र लिखकर कहता है कि आपको सुनवाई के लिए बुलाया जाएगा और बगैर सुनवाई किए एक तरफा नियम कानून संविधान को ताक पर रखकर हमारे 20 विधायकों की सदस्यता रद्द कर दी जाती है।
ये देश कानून से चलता है, कानून सबसे ऊपर है और एक बार फिर से इस फैसले ने ये दिखा दिया कि कानून से ऊपर कोई कितनी भी धमकियां दे, कितने भी अपशब्द कहे, कितने भी संवैधानिक ढांचे को तोड़ने मरोड़ने की या उसको नीचा दिखाने की कोशिश करेगा, उसके बावजूद भी कानून अपना काम करेगा।
And today is the 121st birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And on this occasion, a function to pay floral tributes to him will be held at the Central Hall of Parliament, where the wall is adorned with the portrait of the great leader. The program will be held at 10:30 a.m. From establishing and leading the Indian National Army to forming alliances against the British during the World War II, Netaji was among the key figures to lay the foundation for the modern Indian state. Several functions have been planned across the country to mark the day today. Let's get you all the sporting action. First up, news from the Australian Open, where there has been a shocker in the tournament because South Korean star Seung-Hyun beat six-time champion Novak Djokovic out of the tournament in the fourth round, 7-6, 7-5, 7-6. Seung will now face American player Sandgren in the quarterfinals today. Now, in the women's singles, the top seeds Simona Halep and German tennis star Angelique Kerber have qualified for the quarterfinals in the tournament. Simona Halep defeated Naomi Osaka of Japan 6-3, 6-2, while Angelique Kerber beat Taiwanese Hsi Yu Wei 4-6, 7-5, 6-2. Kerber will next face America's Madison Keys for a place in the semi-finals. In the other matches slated to be played today, Ace Indian player Rohan Bopanna and his Hungarian partner Timea Babos will play against Vanya King and Franco Stugor in a mixed doubles pre-quarter-final today. And the Indonesian Badminton Masters will kick off in Jakarta from today, and Ace Indian players PV Sindhu and Kidambi Srikanth will look to make a positive start to the new season when they kick off the international calendar at the Indonesia Masters World Tour Super 500 tournament. PV Sindhu will face Indonesia's Hana Ramadini, while Srikanth will take on Malaysia's Zulfadi Zulkifli in the first round. Saina Nehwal will have a tough task at hand when she will face world number 8 Chen Yufei in the opening round. HS Pranoy will begin the season with a clash against Denmark's Rasmus Gemke, while Samir Verma will meet a formidable Kazumasa Sakai. That's it from me and my team in this edition of News, but news and updates continue on Rajya Sabha television. Thanks for your time.